Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with
Tank.
And we're here on the front lines in the battle against the cabal and the Lumadonkeys and all those silly people out there that think that they can control the world through fear and intimidation. So anyway, I tried something a little bit new. So how's it going?
Yeah. Switch it up.
Switch it up.
See what you know.
Yeah, it was sounding pretty good, but anyway, I just thought I'd throw a little curve in there. So I've been catching up on things. I had to step out, yesterday and catch a meeting, and it was interesting about a new fuel system, and so how it could play into the new thing that I'm working on. So that was kind of interesting. I might be talking with him, again later. I just thought about maybe if he may be coming to my house here, so then maybe it might be good to do a broadcast, something to talk about. We can talk about that new technology. So anyway, also been catching up on what's going on this morning on the world front, on the battle. So I saw Dave Hodges had put out an interesting little bit of information, is that Trump, and basically in a response to what went on with at the south of the border with the massacre, and I did mention this yesterday about the heart being cut out of the little boy. That came from Dave Hodges' broadcast, and but today he said that that was kind of the intent there was to goad Trump into taking action to go across the border and go after the cartel. And it did not work, but he is going to go after the cartel, but he's going to do it a different way, and that's going to be announced in the next day or so, where Trump will actually declare war on the cartel. Now let's see how that unfolds in the next couple of days.
Well, I don't doubt that. I think that's a really insightful, actually. I mean, I think that's very accurate. They're clearly, I've broken it down a little bit. To share some of the things that I know of, and clearly, if you were talking about this earlier, that you got to call in the United Nations, right?
Yeah, well, that would that would be what the reason to goad Trump into crossing the border would then give the excuse for the Chinese that are sitting there in Mexico across the border to put on blue helmets and then say, "Oh, we're here to defend Mexico."
Yeah. No, I definitely think that that's plausible. I gotta say, I'm comforted by just knowing that there's actually a legit force, fighting back against this. It's kind of amazing if you think about it. You take the echelon system and ANA, and then I'm not sure what the third system was that Thomas was referring to. He said there was 3 though over this, right? Now I knew about echelon and ANA, but I'm not sure, and I believe in the third. I just don't know what it is called actually.
Would that be? I just thought about something. Prometheus.
Well, I thought about it's funny. I said that earlier today. It's Prometheus, so you were reading my mind. So well done. But
sorry about that. Didn't mean to read.
Yeah, but I'm not. I mean, Prometheus was really an older system, that was down, and I think they just relaunched it to try to take it. But the tech for it was solid, right? And that was the closest any of the systems ever came. It was still taking down like 15 minutes. It wasn't like a real threat, but it was the best threat they had, right? And then I guess who knows what would happen if they would have launched AS400? They might have taken over the world with Commodore 64 next. Who knows? But here's what's fascinating, right? So if you look at this, Kim and I missed each other this morning. She hit me back at like 6 in the morning, and I just got to bed at like 4 in the morning. And she apparently just woke up at 4 in the morning. So at like 9, I hit her back, and so we missed each other. We didn't get a chance to talk, but and I was going to ask her about this because if you look at it, I think it's a logical conclusion, right? So if ANA is where all of the birth certificates, passports, all the numbering system, right? All of the Holocaust, numbering system that was used to register us, license us, basically register us as an asset, to the trust. Well, then they still had some kind of control, right? It probably included MERS, right? The Mortgage Electronic Registration System that Michelle Walker talked about, and this kind of thing, right? Now that system, my source says, is on its knees. Now Kim says it's down, so I trust her more than any source. So it's down, and then you have the echelon system, which facilitated that somehow to also gather data. It's down, and then whatever this third system is, that's down, right? Which is probably another NSA data grab, right? That grabs all our information off social media or something, right? Which is amazing if you think about it, right? So you have these massive, identity theft, criminal syndicate vehicles based in the most prominent intelligence agency in the world, and they're all down. It's like, that's amazing, it's amazing. So it's like, it's like and that's happening. It's like, well, I think that also means, because in the court system, the way the court system works, right, is that you have, like you go in, they read your docket number and your numbers and everything. So if that's the case, Like, when you go to the court, what happens now? There's no way for them to pull the bonds. You know?
That's interesting. Yeah.
So there's no way for them to get reimbursed. So your court system, your UCC court system, is maybe that's what it is. But all of these things were registered in Belgium, right? Everything existed out of Belgium. So if everything existed out of Belgium, you got to think
Super Pacellis.
Right.
That's why they wanted them.
Yeah, all the bonds. So everything gets registered there. Everything's redeemed there. So that would also mean the IRS. Because remember, the IRS was just a bond redemption organization, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what his job was. So you got to think, all those systems are down. So, and then remember, a while back, just to prove the point that Kim was in control of the system, they wanted money, right? So when they took all the money out of the system, Kim gave them all back bonds, and then they all tried to hit each other up to redeem their bonds, and nobody could because all bonds were already redeemed. So she made a mockery of them, right? She had them all redeem their bonds, and basically they couldn't redeem them. There was no cash. Nobody could. They didn't. The only person that can turn assets into cash is at the M1 level,
right?
Which none of them are. She proved that the only one at the M1 level is her, because she's the only one who brought money into the system in the past, 7 years. So you got to think, it really is an incredible, liberating moment for all of humanity. But what good does it do if we don't know? Because what they'll do is they'll just tell us stuff right now. They'll write numbers down. Who knows what's going to happen? So I really think this is a decisive moment for everybody to wake up. We have to really get the word out and activate people mentally, spiritually, emotionally, but logistically, to be quite honest, right? People need to know this going into court. Right now, there's no better time for us to be going, we just sent out a letter to the representative for the area where this mother lost her little boy, Karen. Little boy was James. And and I was very, very clear. I mapped out the entire case to the representative. And that letter we're going to publish on the Speak Project, and I've got about 20 other media outlets. I'm sending it to all of them. Now, it's perfect timing to do something like that, a letter like this, being that ABC just got busted burying information about sex trafficking. Now, what I put in this, I firmly believe, and I also am very confident we have the evidence to back it up, that they are clearly running a sex trafficking ring out of that area, right? The judge, he's bringing 12 and 14-year-old boys over 10 times a year to stay with him for 3 weeks at a time. So you're looking at 30 weeks of the year. This man has
like nonstop.
Boys.
Yeah, it sounds like nonstop. I mean, because if you spread that out 3 weeks at a time, right? 30 times a year.
Right, and his partner, right, is the chief of staff or one of the senators there in Illinois, right? His lover, right? I mean, his adult lover, right? But then we've already tracked down 7 cases like this one.
Oh my!
Of just what I would call poor judgment. That's just 7 cases that we just pulled. How many is there? You'd have to believe there's a ton. And
maybe all of them.
What's that?
Maybe all of them were this way.
Could be. Yeah, could be. But also, okay, now this is where you really want to pay attention. So the man owns a trucking company and a pizza place, right?
Right.
I mean, at this point, I feel like, and he walks around with a sign that says, "I molest kids," because that's pretty blatant, right? I mean, it sounds like, wow, this guy's got a very belligerent, signs of plenty of things to investigate, right?
Sure.
But wait.
There's more.
There is more, yeah. So we talked to some people in the neighboring counties, and they all said, everybody knows you don't go into Kane County. You don't take your kids into Kane County. So you remember about 2 months ago, or about around there, maybe more or less, and I was speaking to this woman, Jessie, and another woman who had her child abducted, and they were like, Jessie was raised in the Illuminati, right, in the actual families, right, in the programs, and she's the granddaughter of like the, you know, the dark widow of the, covens of the Illuminati, right? And this is what she told me. I'm just going to tell you exactly what she said. She witnessed 1,000 deaths, sacrifices of children a month for 10 years straight, right?
Was it in Kane County?
Very calmly. Now, her thought was now that what she was doing was that what she was trying to do now is she was trying to make amends and do right, and she was very Christian, or at least appearing so. And she was trying to make amends, to find ways to help, right? Now, in talking to them, talking to her, she kept referring to these different experiences. They were profound. She referred to a very old church in the town where she grew up, right? And how her partner, the one she trained with, who I name I won't say, just I don't know, I don't have his full name, and I don't want to get into trouble or anything, and I don't know what they're doing now, good or bad, right? But whoever the guy's name was, right, this kid she trained with, he basically, his parents found out that he got selected, right, by the order, to be trained as, like an assassin, right? And so they were getting ready to leave town. So the order knew right away, right? The Illuminati people knew right away. So as they're packing up their stuff to go, they surround the house with something out of like Eyes Wide Shut, people with cloaks and hoods, right? And they start to burn down the house.
Wow.
Then they go in and this is all like in a little town, right? Suburban town in Illinois, right? So, and they go in, they pull the family out, they rape the sister repeatedly. I guess he had a sister. Rape the mother repeatedly, rape the father repeatedly, kill them all. They take the little boy that they selected, they pull him outside, they made him watch the whole time with this woman, because they were both little kids, like maybe 6 years old at the time, and made them watch as they strung them up and just crucified them, I think literally actually, and right in front of them, and tortured them, raped and tortured them in front of them. Right in the middle of a town, right? So you got to think, that's a town that's rampant with, that's a nest.
And this is this in Kane County?
Yeah, so that is that's what I realized today. I'm like, this is the same area. This is Kane County, right? Because it's the Canaanites.
Right. That's right out of the Bible. So it's
right.
Cain and Abel.
So it's Kane County, right?
Yeah. So
it's right there, and it's all in this one area. And in this one area, they're doing all these terrifying things, right? Now, in the same area, what are the chances? We've already tried. I have done minimal research on this area, right? We've already tracked down 7 cases of the same judge doing the same kind of thing, right? Now, on top of that, we had a very, very credible intel source I can't name, and she told us about that there isn't a very, very old church there. Now, this woman, that's exactly what she described to me. There was a very old church with tunnels underneath the church, and they had graves outside the church, and they threw her in an open grave, right? And there was like catacomb type tunnels down there, and she went around the back to eventually found her way back in, right? But she said the Lord picked her up. Now, I got to be honest with you, though. I don't think it was the Lord like in the God kind of way. I think it was like the Lord of Darkness kind of thing. Yes. I just don't think she realized it. So, but that whole thing now, so now this ties back to what we've known about that there's a child trafficking ring running from, Chicago down to Arkansas. And then in Arkansas, there's 67 miles of tunnels that go underground, you can get out. And they were shipping from a port in Florida, and they were taking kids out to Haiti, and probably receiving kids to Haiti, and then out to Epstein's Island. right? Now, here's where there's some questionable information that I haven't verified, and so I'm not going to share. But I will say, that our recent suspicions about a famed character, who claimed to help kids, that might not be the case. So, well, it's definitely not the case. He's not helping anybody. But it might be more complicated than we realize. And according to this source, who was spot on accurate, and I can't say because she would definitely get killed. But if you know how I'm talking about, you realize the credibility she brings. So I gotta tell you, that's kind of amazing. So you think about it, this whole strip straight down the middle of the country, right, is very, very important because they're used to reigning supreme there. They do clearly whatever they want, right? And that's terrifying. That's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Actually, it's actually amazing because we're actually going in just as they're getting ripped apart.
Right. No, it's good timing. I want to add something, and this is has to do kind of the same subject. We've been covering this, and I don't know. Oh, I should probably let me share a screen with you. Hang on. Now, I just saw this morning, so I don't know if it's true. And I really didn't know anything before, about Field McConnell, right? I knew nothing, right? Other than, he was doing something with GCR, right? I don't know who he was or anything. This particular video I found on YouTube. It is basically the name of it is Birth, Strange Life, and Ultimate Death of Abel Danger with Captain Dan Henley and Dave Hobson. Now this was put out, basically just 2 days ago or a day ago on YouTube by Jason Goodman. And if you see in this airplane, they're what they're highlighting, the back of this airplane area underneath on the ground, that there's something laying there. Is that a body that's laying there? I don't know if that's what they're insinuating from this. I listened to the a good portion of this, at least 70% of it, and then I got onto a phone call, so I didn't hear the end of this today. But I don't. But it sounds like Phil McConnell was doing a lot of good work, or trying to, in this battle. So I just wanted to say, I really don't know what happened to Field McConnell in this in the past or much about him, but it sounds like he was fighting a good battle. That's all I wanted to add to this from what these people are saying. What they did say that was interesting is this particular plane that they're showing here is the same plane or same type of airplane that Jeffrey Epstein used. And this tail doorway in the back is unique because it allows for you could actually open this while the plane was flying, and you could literally throw things out. So if this particular plane was used in setups for blackmail purposes of people while they were in the plane and had underage children on board, and anything that happened on that plane, they could dispose of the evidence out the back of the plane, is what they were getting to about this particular airplane. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about this, because I think it's somewhat on the same kind of topic. And we kind of was covering what happened with turning over the evidence to his group, and then there was definitely a big issue. So,
well, I'll tell you, just for the record, I have no doubt that Abel Danger started and fully intended to do good work. I mean, he was one of the first people to ever talk about 9/11. Obviously, he had a military record, right? Where I'm sure he was very, he was a colonel. I mean, obviously, It takes some doing to get there. And
he's a combat pilot.
What's that?
He's a combat pilot.
Yeah, and it's amazing. So, and I know he would talk about some pretty amazing stuff that a lot of people who don't know, because he did kind of get a mainstream following, right? I mean, he was pretty well. I mean, he had like 500,000 followers now. But here's the problem, right? So the cabal, deep state, Illuminati, Illuminonkeys, right? You're not getting 500,000 followers unless they're controlling your message. I'm sorry, just not happening. Or up to this point, it wouldn't be able to happen because they just won't let you do it. Right now, if you have 500,000 followers, there's a good chance, right, that you're gonna, be able to make a comfortable living. I would imagine, right, like on YouTube or whatever, right? Because all these people are tuned in, right? So now you're making a comfortable living, right? You're putting the truth out, right? Well, the first reason why I know he was being, manipulated, so I'll clearly give him the benefit of the doubt, right? That it was, he didn't know. Well, it's because he was getting information from the Chinese elders, and he was promoting the RV and saying how the RV was definitely going to happen, and here's why, and blah blah blah.
Right.
And I know exactly what he's saying because it's the exact same thing that we all said, right?
Right.
And and he had insight. Well, I had the same insight. I used to do that, and I know exactly where the intel came from. And now I've spoken to these same people directly who are trying to bring money in, and they have no power to do it, right? So I know for a fact that the RV is not going to happen. They don't have the power to do it. I have spoken to them. I have spoken to a dozen of these, trust owners. I've talked to people all over the world about this who contact me. I've talked to kings and princes and all types of people who have called and they want to get access. You know what? At the end of the day, they never had access, even though they have paperwork that would imply they do have access, right? Got great seals on it. It looks impressive, but it's nothing. It's not legit. They don't really hold an account in the trust, right? So that's the first thing. So I know from that standpoint, and I can understand why, when you're as high up and you get all this incredible intel, you've probably seen some of the tunnels and whatever, you've seen amazing technologies, you think you're in the know, but you got to come up a little bit higher and realize you're in the know in that compartment. And in that compartment, there's some lie. And the lie is is the truth you're being kept from becomes a lie, right? Because if you had the whole story, it's like if you just take a section of a sentence or a statement, you can completely, be telling the wrong story, right? Like if you walk in the room and I'm like, I would never say was the first part of the sentence, and the second part is that I hate Dan. And all you hear is, I hate Dan.
Hey.
Like, I cannot believe Tank said I hate Dan, right?
Hey, why are you saying
hear
that?
The whole sentence, right?
You're going to make me upset.
Exactly, right. If that was your compartment, now you tell everybody, I heard it with my ears.
You know what Tank said about me? I want to know.
Exactly. All I've done is help him, sure. Right? So, so that's why compartments are so dangerous, right? Because you don't know the whole story. Therefore, you can align yourself with bad people who are doing bad things, right?
Right.
So that's part of what I just think, definitely on some level happened to Abel Danger. But to be honest, in his defense, it happened to everybody, right? Everybody was deceived by these things we didn't know because it was like 160 people at the top of this thing, running everything. Nobody knew. Nobody knew who they were.
Yeah. So let me take a piece of that, right, and talk about one thing that I did because of my working in the GCR, and I was specifically into all the historical assets, not currencies, not at all. But at the same time, I was doing TBC coin, Kringle coin, and was able to, the value of that was rising at the time, and I was looking into the currencies, and my partners in the GCR stuff that we worked together, and he was in banking as a vice president of a major bank, and we were setting this up and for like moving forward, and he's in the currency. I said, well, let me exchange some of my TPC coin for Zimbabwe dollars. So I did. I opened it up, and for a period of months, I did an exchange. I took in the Zimbabwe money and I gave TBC coin. Now I did all, I got a lot of Zimbabwe currency. I'm more than a trillion, more than a quadrillionaire. I don't even know how. I don't even think there's enough zeros to see how rich I am in the GCR, not including the historical assets, right? By the way, but just to think about this, what's happened though, and I think Thomas had covered some of this in Zimbabwe. The people in Zimbabwe got into, hey, I've got Zimbabwe dollars. I want to exchange them, right? I want to now become super wealthy, and even into the military there. And what happened? A lot of people got into conflict. Now, am I responsible because I was promoting Zimbabwe dollars as having value? That's a sliver of a story, right? I mean, I had no intention of anyone getting hurt, right, by doing this kind of exchange. But do people watch what I did? Now, the one thing is, I never exchanged anything with anyone inside of Africa for doing the Zimbabwe money, and I did tell people, anyone that said, I can't accept your Zimbabwe money because it has to come from a licensed dealer, currency dealer. It has to be a provenance for that currency. It's not being circulated. Anyway, these were the rules. However real those rules were or not, that's what I operated from. So I think everything I received came from America, but a lot of people in Africa see my broadcasts and they got excited about the Zimbabwe money. So, but what's the whole story, right? The whole story is GCR the big lie, GCR being used for Agenda 2030 to wipe out all of humanity, right? Well, look what happens when people rise up and start getting say, I want to exchange my money right now. I want wealth. What kind of commotion and harm came about because people thought they could exchange this currency. So, you get
Point.
Yeah. So the whole story is something completely different, but I didn't know what the whole story was. I was searching for it, but I still took action and did an exchange of Zimbabwe money. Actually, someone had just brought it up to me. I haven't thought about it, since, because it's been like I guess over 2 years since I did that. And someone just mentioned it to me in one of my Telegram groups, and was talking about this, and said it was a scam, and I had to agree. I said, yeah, but it's not what I thought at the time. I thought this was something that was really going to happen. All the evidence was there that it's real. All the people involved, at such high levels. Why would it not be real? Except it just didn't make sense.
And to be perfectly honest, right now, I don't know when that was for you, but I know I was furious with the Chinese elders and with all these groups saying we were going to be an RV, and I had white hats on the ground when operations were going down, when battles were going down, and I mean, there was guys that in the groups that got shot and killed, so there was real military operations going on around this, and in the U.S. and there was exchange centers set up everywhere, and on top of that, so as I was kind of screaming out to the universe, right, really demanding that somebody contact me who's part of the global currency reset, somebody contact me who's in the Republic, right? So the first one to contact us was Jared Rand. And Jared Rand came out and he said, well, I work with the Republic, right? And he said all this stuff. So, and that's to be honest, that is a breaking point interview. Matter of fact, I should go back and track it down because, first, what he did is something you never do. He came in the middle of a call and completely caught me off guard, right? And so he breaks in, and then he just starts wowing the crowd with these amazing stories of, the med bed. It's going to be so wonderful. And what they do is they talk in this, monotone, voice. they're like very soft and, well, it's gonna be wonderful. Everything's magic. It's gonna, and everyone just zoned out. They're like, yeah, So everyone got so excited about the technology, right? So we invited him on the next night. Now the next night, though, I knew he was coming on. So he started. One of the things he started saying, people need to get away from the money. As soon as he said that, I said, that is not fair. You're saying that from someone who has grown up with money. And on top of that, so you don't even know what it's like for these people not to have money. And you can't turn around and promise these people they're going to be wealthy, be able to change the world, then never perform to bring that money and give that money to them. And by doing that, you now put them all in a situation where it's not about the money for them. It's about the freedom. You're the one making it about money because you keep holding the money back. Is what I was arguing with him at the time.
Right. Yeah.
And he goes, well, there's so many different pieces. I'm like, you guys have been working on this for 10 years. Every country in the world has signed off on this. What are you talking about? So I challenged him on everything he had to say like that, right? Mm-hmm. Because what they'll try to do is get you intoxicated with, like, no matter how long I wait, you've got technology you're going to give me that is just going to fix me. I'm just going to be young again, right? Yeah. Now, the guy who actually, Colonel, gosh, I can't remember his name, Colonel Mark something or other. Keep an eye on chat, man. Somebody's going to know this guy's name. But this guy, I spoke to him, right? Now, he's the guy who actually understood and knew how to build the technology for the medbeds. And I spoke to him about it, right? Now, he had fought on the battles on Mars, right? And he was describing how, he was like in this year, I think it was like, he said in 2008 was the first year that on Earth, he was coexisting with himself on Mars because of some kind of, really cool, deep stuff he was saying about, and he was talking about these battles on Mars and how there was all these battles with these giant bugs and how he would get his legs cut off and ripped off and, come back to the medbed, they'd rebuild him, send him back out. Then they put him back in a younger version of himself, right? So he came back to the exact same moment he left, when he was like 18 or something. He didn't realize what had happened, right? And he was young again, right? But he was actually 38 years old. So he was just, 38 years old recently, right? And so now he grew up again and just kind of became immature again, but he had a brand new body. So what he said, so he has now he's part of the Eisenhower Special Marine Corps Special Services, which is the equivalent of the secret military space program. Now, this is a real group, right? Now, he is actually, I forget what it's called, but like he doesn't get a paycheck anymore from the Marines, right? But he is validated that he did serve, right? And he is validated as part of this, and he's been to different places and met with, different galactics and stuff, right? But his stories, when you talk to him, it's incredible. He didn't remember at first. So he was saying now when they bring out the medbed, right? I brought him on the phone with Kim too, and Kim could validate his organization as well. And but they weren't, all good. They thought they were the boss, right? And they basically, he said that, what they found out was and he explained to me how the medbed works. And how the medbed works is like, say you have a missing leg, you project a hologram that's identical, like perfect replica of your leg before, right? And then when the cells get to that part of the leg where the leg was, they just continue to regenerate as if the leg is there. And they literally generate a brand new leg for you. It was amazing, right? Now, that's real tech. That he was saying it existed on the moon or Mars or something like that. I don't fully understand that, but cool. But I validated there's versions of this that do exist, right? But when he explained it was so incredible about this, right? He went into depth. Now, Jared Rand was the one first introduced the idea of the medbed to everybody else, and this colonel basically said he doesn't have the technology for it. So then Jared Rand changed his story, and I didn't really, I didn't say I had it. I'm just saying it's going to be brought out, all this kind of stuff. But this is when I was making all this noise to bring out that they were fraudulent, right?
Right.
But eventually, the people from the Global Currency Reset reached out to me, right? And they were the actual historians and I have all their paperwork to prove exactly who they are, right? And they knew everything, and they provided the Singleton document, which they gave me, and I have actually now posted it on the Speak Project. And in this document, it shows there was two options. Either they were going to have a asset-backed currency, or they were going to do away with all paper currency and just have the banks be the regulatory authority on all the money in the world. Now, what would you call that? The New World Order, right? Because if the banks control all the regulation, why do you even need governments? They're the government, right? Everything else is just enforcement. So they never had any intention of backing anything with the assets. What they intended to do was make everything under their control. That is the key to the whole New World Order, which is the key to the global currency reset, right? Now, nobody can tell me those things aren't true. I spoke with them in length. I got stories about Indonesian elders and, all these different groups of, the indigenous elders versus the Chinese elders, which are kind of just for show, and all these different things, right?
Right.
And I was talking to the Treasury, and I was talking to the military. So I get that there are sources that are above those. Maybe, of course, obviously Kim's above that. But there's no source right now on the planet that I know of that's above Kim. So at the end of the day, people get compromised. And every one of these people, when I would talk to them, they all had this amazing piece to the story. It was amazing. The only difference for me was I talked to all of them. So I had a little different perspective, right? Because I was talking to the GCR people, I was talking to the military people, I was talking to the people entrenched in things and programs and prosperity packages. I had connections with all of them. I can't remember his name now, but Tony Renfrow's mentor was a really great old guy from Oklahoma. Now he's a bit of a racist, but otherwise he was a nice guy. But he was, he and I used to update him, and Phil Tilton, and all these guys, and Bruce on the big call. I talked to all of them. All of Bruce's calls were banks. How do you trust it? I used to be in Blue Wolf's group. Talked to Blue Wolf. All of Blue Wolf's contacts were banks, right? So, and they all thought they were very important to the process, and that's how they get people.
Right.
They tell them they're special, right? You are special. It's all great, big deception. The whole thing is just it's no one knew what was going on, because at the end of the day, this was really perpetuated by galactics who were using us like fools and slaves to dance around, mind their stuff, kill the people off that were a threat, create a big stall of all the people that could actually have an impact and make a difference, and then take all the assets off the planet after we killed each other. So all the fighting amongst each other. That's why I reached out to Abel Danger to be like, hey man, I reached out to him privately, directly, through his people, and publicly, and he didn't respond. So, you know what? That's okay. Like, my feelings aren't hurt. That's fine. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, you might not have been in this thick. Would have taken a different course. Is all I'm saying. Just a thought.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, sorry.
But anyway, as regard to whatever good Abel Danger or Phil McDonald was doing, I don't know anything about it, but it does sound like he was trying. Just like everyone that buys into a certain ideal, you think you're doing good, but you end up getting into the midst of something because you don't have the whole picture. And the whole picture is being revealed now. That's the good thing, right? We're able to see it. It is unfolding in an excruciatingly slow manner, but still, it is unfolding. And I do think that where this is, much more serious than most people in the world even can comprehend right now. That there is,
I agree.
That there is a civil war, that it's underway. And one of the things I did pick up on the news, it does seem like the one thing that is changed in the media is that now it's all about a coup, right? It's all about a coup attempt, and that's really not a good message for the deep state to have out there, right? That this was a coup attempt. It's not that it wasn't.
That's a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that it wasn't talked about by people like us, right?
Right.
Who could say this
the
is blatantly...
the alternative media. We're like the backup, the backup boyfriend. It's like, well, things don't work out with the guy I like. I guess I'll go out with you guys. Like that's kind of. Meanwhile, the mainstream.
Yes.
You know?
That's a good analogy, anyway, well, it looks like there's going to be a shift in who's the mainstream at a certain point here. So that's another good analogy.
Well, yeah.
You know, so I think things like when I look at the Blaze, that Glenn Beck did, right? I think that is a model that we all need to follow, right? We need to create these alternative platforms that are funded, have good people, and doing the investigative journalism, the digging into the details side. And I think the Speak project is well on its way to becoming that. Right?
I agree.
So
I really appreciate going on Dominic Gizzo's show the other day because
I saw that.
You know what?
I saw that.
I had to ask, because I knew he was going to ask us, what the Speak Project was, and I was like, I realized, I don't know if anybody's really ever asked me that, So, so I thought, like, how would we define ourselves? And I realized I'm very clear on it now, right? Like, I've always said that we want to put the truth out. A lot of people say that. But I realize it's not enough to put the truth out. The awareness movement, Hugh really did an amazing job of creating awareness, but, the instructions were, enjoy the show. That's not our movement. Our movement is we're going to speak the truth, yes, but we're also going to provide solutions. And you know what? And that's why we have action teams all over the place, that are doing stuff, right? We have farmers right now that are, found ways to crowdfund, and they're growing organic food in Ghana and Denmark and Australia. We have all types of projects that are already working, to create change, that way. And that's really what I want, I want us to be known for, of actually getting things done, right? If you're going to make a difference, you got to do something.
Right.
It's not enough just to talk about it, So, we're, like right now, I had a meeting tonight with kind of an ad hoc meeting with the National Liberty Alliance, and we talked about this with how to go after the vaccines because, my lawyer in their head, like, going back and forth, like, well, you can't. So now it's been filed now for 3 weeks, and they're still fussing about it. I'm like, so tonight I talked to him. I said, listen, I'm like, enough. The world is on the verge of collapse right now, and you guys are waiting for, they're waiting for the Q Army to rise up and take it all apart. I said, we are the Q Army. That's the whole point of the Q movement is the people.
Yeah, we got to be motivated
That's the whole point.
To do things. You got to make. It's time to get up, stand up, pick up your pitchfork, and head out the door, or at least go to your computer and get on the YouTube.
So here's the the big drop though that I realized from this, right? Where it starts. So we have two separate case filings. The first one is just going to be to challenge. Now, this is actually in the Constitution where you nullify a law. It's null and void because the law was not enforced.
Right.
And it wasn't followed or enforced. Therefore, the law is nullified. Right? So that's what we're going to enter, into as our first plea for this whole vaccine redemption, child vaccine damages, or
that sounds pretty solid.
Yeah, so now that's a solid case because RFK already did a Freedom of Information request and said, hey, give us your studies. Well, there's no studies. They already settled that part of it, right?
Right.
Well, now the part is, enforce it. Now we have to nullify the law. So this is where everybody's failed, right? Now think about it. If we take out that law, now HHS, CDC, the FDA, your respective state, and every one of these drug companies who's complicit in this genocidal vaccine creation, right? This cash cow, this poison cash cow that they have, you're now all liable.
We're all liable.
And
That's it.
So now
I was reading your mind again.
Because think about it, if you remove any liability, you know what that apparently what that also removes? We don't got to do studies. We can take bleach, mix it with Drano, and put it in a needle and say you have to take this.
Right.
The CDC has determined. This is what they said. The CDC has determined that the state health departments must take away all exemptions for the vaccine. So think about what that means. That means they could just, randomly, fire them out of, tranquilizer guns if they want to, right? Like, hey, you got to take it. Sorry, like, they don't have to ask anymore. And on top of that, so now the CDC is above the Constitution, right? How are you making this judgment? How are you making this assessment if there's no studies, right? So what that does is it opens up the door for 100 other lawsuits in every state. So you're looking at potentially thousands of lawsuits that can literally demolish the drug industry. And believe me when I say this, I could care less if it puts, 200,000 people out of work, 400,000 people out of work.
Sure.
Because it's a corrupt practice. The same way I don't care if, drug dealers on the street corner selling my kids meth, go to jail. I don't care. They're criminals.
Right.
So I don't want people that are honest people working in these organizations to get fired. That's okay. We'll create new jobs. I'm not worried about that. I can care less about disrupting the market.
Right.
We need to disrupt the market. It is a genocide market.
Yeah,
so the argument has to be made. At some point, you have to have an honest conversation and say, what do you want more? Your life or your job? And they're not connected. You don't need your job to be alive, for your kids to be alive. But how do you stay alive if your job is responsible for perpetuating a lifestyle you really want, right? So you want to have a lifestyle for a little while they poison you and your children.
Right.
And then the whole world, is cast into this ridiculous spiral of negativity. I mean, we have to take responsibility for this at some point and just say enough's enough, because they don't have any power over us. We have power over them. The government works for us. The government works for the people. Well, if the people do nothing, then our silence is our consent.
Right.
We are consenting to slavery. We are consenting to poisoning the people. We are consenting to it by doing nothing. So actions like this are absolute. We have to stand up and say, this is our land.
Right.
This is our planet, and we're going to take care of it. And you have no authority here. And you certainly don't have a right to poison my child.
Right.
So
they don't. But they. So I think it's a good tactic. I think you're right. That they're not legitimate because they did not do the studies. I looked at a similar thing back when I couldn't get the funding, really I tried to bring the funding together to actually address that, and went to the particular law firms in Los Angeles that I was working on a project. This had to do with the medical marijuana at the time. They have never done the studies to basically keep it as a Schedule I drug. They never did. In fact, if you try to do the studies, and who does it? Universities. So if the universities try to do a study, they would basically, oh well, we're going to hold back our funding of your university. And what does the university do? Oh well, we're not doing that study.
right.
And so no studies were ever done, and by law it said that first, in order to be Schedule I, it had to be no medical benefit. Of course, the AMA at the time was protesting this and saying, hey, we use it for everything in medicine. And then they got silenced, and then, it kept moving forward, and they finally got to the point where they made it, put it on Schedule I, but it said that it had to have periodic testing to show that it still does not have any medical benefits. With the other drug that they have on there that says that there's no medical benefits for, just curiosity, out of curiosity, it's LSD. So
It's funny, LSD is still being used, isn't it?
I know. That's what.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, no,
why
I know.
both of them.
Dan, what do you argued this though, right? Like you actually stood up to make sure that marijuana could be used, right?
Oh yeah, no. I formed a whole trade association and sued Los Angeles and won and kept all of the dispensaries open. You know, if I had failed, it would have ended the medical marijuana in all of California. Now, it wouldn't have spread to all the other states if I would have lost.
So, and you basically did this based on just what you just talked about, right? Like the medical benefit.
No, what we used in the particular lawsuit that we were working with, we actually used land use because that was what the object. It wasn't about legality of it being legal or not. It was about its benefit or not. The Los Angeles was trying to shut it out of there by regulating or making ordinances that basically said, well, there was no place you could literally put it. It's the same scenario that happened, let's say, with strip clubs. All right, you couldn't find a strip club anywhere unless you went into the middle of an industrial zone because that's how they kind of squeezed it out of being on Main Street. So,
Right.
but you know, under constitutional reasons, you literally could actually put it, you know, place. Now you could literally, as long as it wasn't regulated to like where there was no place for it, literally like absurdity, right? And that's what they were doing in Los Angeles. They basically made it very difficult to find a spot to place one. You know, you could. A store that opened up within 1,000 feet, right, of this, which 1,000 feet is, you know, pretty, but that, let's say a store opened up that sold things that kids might want to have.
Right, I see.
Yeah. This kid may come to a store, so you can't have one within that area because a kid may come out. Of course, you know that I always like to talk about. And when they first legalized it in Utah, it was only for children under the age of 13. But that's another story.
Yeah.
You're younger than 13 to get a hold of medical marijuana in Utah.
Yeah. So I mean, things like that. Like there is a much stronger precedent, really. And now, what I'm trying to get to there on the second piece is to challenge the judge's ruling that this is a medical emergency. In fact, the medical emergency is being caused by the vaccines themselves. So it's like prescribing cancer to treat cancer, right? It doesn't make sense. Like, you know, if you have an outbreak of something, you can't use the same exact thing that is the cause. Like, well, we found that people are getting cancer from this polio vaccine. So we're going to issue a lot more polio vaccines because obviously we need them. And everybody just goes, yep, okay. Just keep going on with it. But I mean, that's literally what's happening. You know, the measles outbreak down in Disneyland, or I don't know if it's Disney World or Disneyland, but it was caused by the vaccines themselves. I mean, how do you justify making an uproar about the vaccines? It's like, you know, do some research. Stop being so ignorant. Look at the details. I mean, come on.
Right.
So there's that. But anyways, so yeah, it's been an exciting weekend here of stuff going on, and I was really hoping to speak to Kim this morning, and kind of bummed out about that. And you know, I have to believe that everything is synchronizing just right, and you know, I'm kind of leading with my face, you know, so hoping I don't get smashed with a bat, but you know, just got to do it. I mean, somebody, like, I feel like we got to, at some point we have to stand up together and figure out how to get this done. You know?
Yeah, well, we're standing up, we're making the moves, and it is happening, and it's. I mean, the other side, the mainstream media side, to the, you know, congressmen, the people in politics and everything, they are looking ridiculous. They're looking stupid. They really are.
They do.
And
they really do.
The things that they're doing that are so against everything, that we hold as being sacred, due process, the right to your own face your accuser, the stories that they put out into the mainstream media are just so slanted, and some are out and out just lying to your face consistently. I still keep thinking back to Donald Trump Jr. going on The View. Out and out trying to manipulate their audience. I mean, it had to be if that woman was an attorney and for real, and she doesn't know that it was that the law. She either not read what the actual law was before she spouted off. The whistleblower. I mean, I knew from the beginning when they first brought out whistleblower laws, it was for one reason: to prevent them from losing their job.
Yeah.
That was it. It wasn't to protect them from scrutiny or facing their accusers. I mean,
Right.
who they're
Right.
accusing, right? I mean, the other way around. Protect them from the one they're accusing, from them being face to face with them, and that's actually the purpose of it, to allow them to come together and bring out the information, right? And they don't lose their
Right.
job in the process. That's what it's about. So, so it's interesting to see this, how bad they actually are. I mean, it's just like all of the veils have been dropped, right? They're not trying to hide who they are, what they do, because they literally are grasping at straws as they circle the drain, and the swamp is being drained, and they're grabbing at something.
Man, denial is not just a river in Egypt. I'll tell you what, they really still think they're going to win.
Sure. Sure they
I mean,
do.
they're in their mind that they're just going to say the same thing. Matter of fact, I think they're shocked. They're like, "Well, I said the same thing I always say. Why didn't it work?" Right?
Yeah.
Well, because your plan sucked, first of all, but it worked while we were all dumbed down. But one thing that can't be understated is back in April of 2018, Kim reversed the flow so that on all the electronic devices, instead of putting out this toxic, harmful radiation type energy, which would be activating the aluminum they put in us with vaccine, it started bringing in source light energy. So their frequencies get nullified because you're now taking people and they're, being rejuvenated in a sense, right?
Right. So it's clear what's happening, right? People can see, the hypocrisy of the other side, the blatant lies. It's almost so vivid. It's like, why? It is such a contrast to where it was. Just go back 10 years ago, and you see the stuff that was on the news, and just kind of roll. I rolled my eyes for a long time about what came across the news, but this has been.
This is why I keep going back to this VMAT 2,
Yeah.
The fun vac.
Yeah.
Because
Fun
I
vaccination.
think that the light source energy coming in is really made so many people wake up. That they had to resort to something, and so that's why they're pushing the vaccine so hard right now. They're like, we got to vaccinate people. We're gonna make it mandatory for adults too, because we need to get more aluminum in them. So the more so what will happen when you do this, right? Is you're gonna do what happened. It's kind of like the idea is to kill us slowly, right? So they have plausible deniability.
Right.
But it's like in 1985 when these 400 deaths happened from the swine flu vaccine. What happened is it worked too well, right? It worked too fast.
Right.
So it was obvious. Oh, that's from the vaccine. So they don't want that to happen, but they're so desperate. They're like, we need to get something in them, with these flu vaccines to shut them down. I mean, that's what they're pushing. That's why they're doing it. So, and I'm a little slack at doing this actually, but I'm going to get it out this week. Sherry Edwards talked about giving away the frequency that'll basically undo the vaccines, right? Now, I've watched this with my own kids, right? Because I've watched just their grades get better, their performance get better, just how sharp they are, and not just from growing up, but because they all had vaccines when they were kids. Like they didn't have all of them. They didn't have 72 vaccines. They had like 20, over like the course of 5 years, which is still a lot, right? And we were like, that was when my sons were little. It's 10, 12 years ago, so I didn't know as much then. But I knew we didn't want vaccines. And my daughters only had, I think, like 2, right? But the point is that had I known the real damages, I wouldn't have let them have any. But now I've watched them, their performance totally changed. But I've used a frequency device on all of them. I've had them adjusted by chiropractors. They've always eaten organic food, So all those things, they contribute to make that change, right? But when Sherry was talking about, if you listen to it, it's amazing. She can replicate any drug on the market, any drug. You know what if that gets out, right, and people actually understand that that's real, that you can replicate the exact effects of a blood pressure medication without the side effects, how amazing that is. And she could do it, if she did it for $1, right, $1 a piece, that'd be a significant savings, right?
Right.
So, but for her, it'd be all she'd ever need. And she's doing it for free.
I think she should charge $1.
I think so too. We could fund every project in the world that way.
If it charges $1, and also, if people think it's free, that might think it's not worth anything. Oh,
I watched that happen. That's definitely true. Yeah, you're right.
So, make it expensive and then offer promotions on how people get 99% off if you did this, and you act now and get a set of steak knives. I don't know. But,
wait, that's not all. There's more.
That's it.
Sherry will also cure you this, yeah.
And you'll get a tan.
In addition to all these other amazing things.
So that'll be interesting. A frequency that actually tans you.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something with enough radiation to do that. Tan you from the inside out.
Yeah, I just talking about sound. Yeah, I guess it's possible.
Sure.
Anything's like that.
Anything's possible.
Everything's made of light and magnetism and consciousness. So yeah, you can manipulate any of those three. The others change.
Okay, true story. I remember in talking to Kim, right? Maybe like our first 10 conversations, and I was like a kid in the candy store, right? Like I'd always wanted someone who could give me proof of things, and Kim was just dropping bombs on me all the time, right? And she was patient with me, like the first 6 months I knew Kim, I talked to her for like 2 hours every single day, right? And she kind of trained me and taught me just a ton of stuff. But one of the things I remember asking her, in addition to Kung Fu, I was like, she was explaining to me how to draw source energy in, right, and use it. And she was talking about how to use it to learn a language, right? She was like, like how you can use it, you can just match the frequency, and then you'll understand the language, right? And I was like, that is amazing, right? But more amazing was, I was like, can I fly? She's like, sure. Now, when someone says to you that you can fly, right, and you're an avid like superhero fan, like myself, like that's like the best news I ever heard. Just to know that eventually I can get that mastered and just fly is incredible.
Well, as the Green Lantern, you can fly with the power of will.
You know what? And it's amazing because the Green Lantern is what got me down this path. I came up with the whole Green Lantern business theory before any of this. I love the Green Lantern. I think it's such a great concept, right? Now I realize that's real. There probably are Green Lanterns, out there somewhere.
I appreciate it. I didn't really know the Green Lantern story until I saw the movie. It was not one of the superheroes I ever followed when I was young. But there was kind of heroes or things like that was kind of give me some inspiration along the lines. And one of them was Knight Rider. one man can make a difference, right? That's what it is. If you have As long as you have
Yeah.
a really cool car, you can make a difference.
That was the greatest theme song to any show of all time. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that radio was pretty cool. That radio was pretty cool.
But that was,
And then he
you know,
got pimped out later on. You know, he was like a transformer later on.
yeah. So anyway, this, you know, the individually, you know, we make a difference. We just have to decide to act through will, right? We will things into existence by taking those steps. If you will yourself not to do something, then nothing's going to happen.
Right. And that is absolutely true. You know, the saying when it says, there are those who think they can and those who think they can't. They're both right.
Yes. At least half the time.
100% of the time. So.
Yeah, I know,
anyways.
100%. Yeah, that.
So, anyways, man, that's what I got. I'm sure we missed a bunch of mainstream topics there, but you know, we've been.
Yeah, I think. Well, there's some. I think this week we're going to see some interesting things happening. You know, with you know, I think we'll see the whole impeachment thing kind of start to fall apart even more. It looks like it to me. And once they're going to say, you know what? Everyone's talking about coup. We got to stop this. I think that's what's going on right now. They're sitting around the table saying, we can't have them talking about coup. We don't want the population out there, the public, to start talking, hey, there was a coup against the president. You know, and that's the threshold that was crossed. And so I think this week we're going to see them kind of backtracking. But I don't think that they're going to let them go. I would love to see Trump file an impeachment against the Democrats or anyone who voted for this impeachment inquiry. Right? That he should have his own impeachment inquiry and start calling witnesses and all this based upon everything that they didn't allow him to do. I think it's his turn.
Yeah, you know, I love, like, they really, you know, I see it just the way you talked about before. This whole thing has been a trap. Now they've got him. You know, it's like, think about it. You're in a situation where, okay, you guys want an impeachment? Great. Guess who's the first witnesses? You, because you obstructed justice, right?
No, this has all
Yes.
this has been such a trap, and now this is the turning point when the people realize that there's been a coup attempt. You don't need to go any further because that's the ultimate. Well, the ultimate is what's behind the coup, leading to, you know, Epstein and the rest of the human trafficking. You know, to sink them, right? That's what just destroys the whole party. You know, and everybody goes down. Anyone associated with it goes down. But what turns the public around is everyone starts saying they tried a coup on the president. Now it flips. Now everything's going to accelerate. And you're going to see them running.
Yeah.
All the flights to New Zealand are booked.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing, man, it's really, it's like, I was thinking about all the people that loved President Trump before he became president.
I just looked at our screen. I'm sorry to get derailed. I said, we have 172 watching. What happened? We normally don't go over 100. I mean, in recently, I mean, I kind of peer in. We're usually 100, 120. We're at 172 watching. Well, thank you everyone for watching. 175 and rising. That's
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's you know, it's really incredible. You know, there's all this stuff. Things are breaking through, and at some point, change is inevitable, and people want to know the truth.
Right.
Right. And they want to know what they can do about it, and I think that's essential. Right. That's why I tell everybody, look, go join the National Liberty Alliance while you're here. Like, go in there and become just sign up, be part of the movement. Go look up, the Republic. I'm not sure exactly, although I'm the sheriff now for the Republic, but in New York. But I got to figure out what that means yet. I missed the first meeting already. But
you brought up the sheriff, so I actually looked it up, and I said, what is a sheriff, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to do with law enforcement. It is a title. It basically means you're responsible. Right? That's what it really means. You're responsible for a group, a territory. Usually, like the sheriff of Nottingham, right? That was like the entire area that he was responsible for. It would be kind of like the king is assigning someone to be over a certain territory.
There you go. So I guess maybe I was already the sheriff, and they just know it. So, no, but you know what? It's like, I always ask people this question all the time. I always ask people what their name means, right? Especially if they have a cool name. And like, what's your name mean? And, sometimes people know. Most people are like, I think it means, flower or something. But what I always really look for people to say to me is, like, well, this is what it means, but based on my life experience, this is what my name means, right? Because, like, that's a big deal. Like, as a parent, especially when you had nothing, a lot of times parents say, all I have to give you is a good name, right? Because a name defines your character and reputation. So a lot of times we get all caught up in these symbolism and say, oh, this is what that symbol means or that symbol means. It's like, like somebody saw like a buck head, right? Well, a buck's a living creature, right? At the end of the day, it's not a malicious, no matter how they want to use it. Right. What defines it is how we use it, right?
Right.
So everything, whether it's a title, a job, a show, it can be used for good or evil.
Yeah, like the name Tank.
Yeah, right. they were lighting up, The Rock, which I love The Rock, right?
Yeah.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He's just cool, right? Now, I don't know if he's involved in something corrupt, but I saw something about him online. They were like, everybody's stopping to follow Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I'm like, oh no, and they catch him doing something terrible. Because I just want there to be good people out there.
I think they discovered he's a Trump supporter.
Yeah, exactly. Probably. But I mean, when it came down to it, it's like he put something out because they took his name and they named it this tank, The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, yeah, I thought that was awesome, right? Because I'm a tank and I like The Rock. So, but I just thought it was so funny because they were so mad, like, that's an instrument of death. I'm like, shut the heaven up. I mean, give me a break. Like, stop making noise about things. That tank is a weapon of death, really? Or is it a weapon of defense? So that you won't get mobbed by zombies or something. No. At the end of the day, it's like, no, it's not. Weapons there's a reason why it's supposed to be the Department of Defense, right? So that we can keep people safe. And the people who want to live inside these borders abide by the laws of this land. That's what that tank is for. That might actually be my platform when I hunt for something someday. So, no, but
I think, we're up to 182 watching. We're rising. That's interesting. So it's good to see numbers like. Remember when we first started doing this, it was pretty interesting that we were getting 3,000 views a day, and we were getting, and we were all very haphazard about. Maybe we need to go back to the old format. No, but and then we'd have 400 people watching at a time, 500 people, 600. I think we hit. I think we actually hit 800 or something a couple of times. Now that they just dialed us back so much, right?
Right.
So,
but
that's
okay.
We must be punching through. There must be a lot of people, referring us out for this because we're about 15 to 1 shadow banning is what I had figured out before.
Yeah, that's good. So, yeah,
be sure to subscribe.
I mean,
subscribe, share,
subscribe, right?
Yeah.
No, it's good. Yeah, subscribe. Go to the Speed Project too. Subscribe there. I'm trying to force them to acknowledge us. Because this really is the time that we can expand. And I have to believe if Kim took down the echelon system and the the ANA system and whatever, Prometheus, whatever the other system is, the UCC system, I guess. You got to think like, I think that would include the Clinton control over the certificates, the internet certificates, right? For everything.
Yeah.
I don't think they matter anymore. Now your internet's free. So now, YouTube, maybe you should, stop bowing down to these forces that are not even the word. They're not anything.
Right.
Like and we should be able to expand the heart and soul of the goodness of humanity. That's where we're at. That's the beauty of the moment that we're in. But I mean, it requires us to, you can't just fly just because you have wings. You have to actually spread them and use them.
Right.
But I'm excited, I'm excited, Laura Loomer, who's like running for Congress. I'm not sure exactly where, but there's an FBI warrant for this jihadist training camp in Alabama, right? There's a warrant on that. Now we put that information out, right? Like we put that out like a while back, and we actually interviewed someone from the camp who was there, and she was telling us all about how they would bring in weapons every day, and all these different things like that. I'm like, it's amazing. So she's talking about it, and that connects back to Ilhan Omar, right? Wow. And they just had a big, Muslim Day parade of some sort, right? And not a single American flag. So, and she's getting up talking about like, oh, she looks forward to support a candidate who wants to end Western imperialism. Oh, Bernie Sanders, that's going to be his worst nightmare. He'll end up being the Democratic candidate, right? And I think, unless
not Bloomberg.
Oh, Bloomberg? Maybe Bloomberg.
I think he's getting in. So
it's too bad. Like I really like Bloomberg as a mayor in New York seemed to do a great job, but I don't trust anything I thought during the time. It's like I just don't know. But this whole idea of this massive socialism they're going to try to promote. If people are really waking up, and the medication wears off, right? And this drugged up, jacked up way of thinking starts to wear off. And people are like, what am I supporting, right? It's like all of a sudden you wake up, you're on stage, and you're dressed in drag, and you're like, what is going on? It's like, I feel like that's the great awakening that's happening right now. Is people are going to be just stunned that they supported something like this.
No doubt. No, I think the recoil that's going to happen when people actually really, really understand what's been going on in the whole apparatus of governance around the world. It is going to. That's why I go back and thinking about this like Project Red Beam. The purpose of Project Blue Beam was to say the aliens are coming. The aliens are coming, right? The whole world comes together to fight the aliens.
Right.
But the red beam is really about the evil that's here. These are the true alien intruders, and we will rise up to basically defeat the whole aliens, from the inside, right? The ones that basically have basically supplanted all the good people in governance. You had to be bad to rise. If you didn't have blackmailable material, you literally couldn't get the security clearances to rise.
Oh, that's a fact. Yeah, I mean, that's standard process in the order across the board, right? Like you need to participate actively, in something awful, which makes me wonder if they brought that video to like their interview to let them know, like, I've been cleared. I am also a deviant scumbag criminal. I'm in the club.
Yeah.
Because you could see it coming from a mile away. You'll see people that are aspiring to be, well known, or they seem like they're promoting a good cause, but they just want their face out there. And it's just it's like the opposite reason of why you want to be famous, right?
Right.
Like there's no value in being famous for the sake of being famous, or being well known, or anything like that, or being well respected for being evil.
Right.
It doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, well, it's pretty funny. I think that the ones that are out there that are ego driven, that take themselves and say that they're the best thing since sliced bread, and then they go about their these things that they do hurt so many people, but they literally still think that they're the best thing ever. Like, how? I mean, it's like they don't even concern themselves with what harm they're doing. It's like it's again, they don't care, right? So that's what they're this upper echelon, this red alien invasion is interesting. Also, the red are associated with the MAGA and the Republicans and things like that. One thing I didn't realize, a little side note, they always show the Democrats and Republicans blue or red. They had the red states and the blue states.
Right.
I knew that they had did a changeover. Like the time I started voting was the time of Reagan and so it was the Republican Party was blue and the Democrat Party was red, and then they switched it. And I said, why did they switch it? And I always thought it had something to do with, they didn't, the Democrats didn't want to be labeled as reds, as communists, right? Because they really were.
Oh,
that's what I thought. But Dave Hodges actually told me, on his broadcast, he mentioned something that I never knew. He said that they always switched colors, right, back and forth every other year, right? Because that meant that you didn't, associate one color with one side or the other.
Oh, kidding.
Right? I didn't know that. And that made sense.
No, that's so interesting.
It made sense that it should be that way, right? If you're going to put colors to them, you switch them out so no one can label one side or the other or divide the country.
Wow. So, really, our entire political system is just a big color war, like you play at camp. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's so funny. All these things are just absolutely incredible. So, when I was thinking about it too, I keep thinking about this, how these guys, right? I've been on so many calls, like from, 2018, all the time. We were calling banks. We had people in banks everywhere, and they were all like, we don't know this Kim. She doesn't check out. We don't know what you're talking about. And they were all denied. And I'm just like, you really have to appreciate how brilliant and thoughtful Kim is, to be honest, right? I don't say that lightly. I mean, I'm just saying this is true. If she takes the system, she makes it the key integrated monetary system, right?
Right.
So now I want to see these jokers try to deny the system when they're like, well, we transferred money. We used Kim's system. Like, yes, you did. It's like she forced them to admit that they're using Kim's system, right? Because there's no other option.
Right.
The whole system is now transferred over, Like I was thinking, I said last Sunday that, the Federal Reserve was like, no, put everything back to the way it was. And I'm thinking, are you crazy? You think Kim's going to, okay, sure, no problem. Like, I work for you. I'm just like, no, you are subject to her. She's in control of the system. The guy who was there before her, you would have done anything for. You guys are eating babies and all types of crazy stuff. Like, she's just asking you to go thrive and help other parts of humanity thrive. That's so much to ask. I'm not asking them to do that. What I'm asking them to do is to be fired. I want them all out. I don't think they should have a place anywhere in any business. They should, they can either go to the island or, I don't really care where they go, guys. Just as long as they're not in the way of human progress, And like, I'm not a fan of that. Like, we don't need any more genocide. We don't need more mass deaths. You know what? Like, put them under lock and key and monitor their behavior so they don't do some stupid psychopathic plan to, hurt anybody else. It's a headless dragon that's flipping around, its tail's, hitting people. I don't want anybody to get hurt in the process of a dragon dying, right? But make no mistake, they're dead, useless. They can't do anything right now. I'm not saying they have to rub it in their faces, but I could care less if I rub it in their faces. They're sacrificing kids and eating. Like they look at us like dogs.
Right.
That makes me fear. I mean, since I was a kid, I hated that. I remember working a full-time job in wrestling, and I had a scholarship in college, but I still had to work. like, I never slept. And I remember they would come in, like all these, privileged kids would come in. And I was just like, I remember back then, then it was insecurity, but, when I realized, I'm like, that's pretty much kind of how I feel now. It's like, why? But I don't have that insecurity anymore. But, when I think about it, it's like, you don't have the right to rule over people just because you were born with it, right? Like Kanye West said the other day, which everybody's dogging Kanye, people are kind of dogging Kanye West for preaching and stuff. But you know what? I love what Kanye West said the other day, and believe me, I was never a fan of Kanye West. He comes out, he was like, look, God doesn't call the qualified; He qualifies the call. And to me, I was like, man, he said that. I was like, dude, I feel like you just stole a line from me. That was such a good line.
Well, that's. I was just watched another show, and they said exactly the same thing you just said about Conway West. Said I was never a fan of Conway West, but now I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that really, because he stood up, right? Right. He took the steps to basically say, okay, I'm done. With all of this garbage that everyone's been throwing at me. This is not right. This is right, and this is what I'm doing. And then everyone's going to stand up. I mean, it's just like amazing to see how many people are doing it. We're here. We're doing it. So everyone, just take your steps. Make some effort to do something. Share the video. I'm promoting the channel here. Share the video. Get it out there. I know you've done it before. Do it again. Take it and ask people to watch. Yeah.
You know what? I have continually tried to start movements over and over again to try to get people. I mean, in which we have, but I've continually tried to get people to do just one little thing, right? And you just try to get that to grow. I got something in mind here coming up pretty soon, and I feel like we're finally in a breakthrough where it'll just catch on, because I think that people are just going to start to catch on. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So, that being said, everybody, peace out from New York. Dan, thanks as always.
All right. Good night. Good night, everyone. Just a quick look. Yeah, 175 watching. Let's check a quick look. Oh, 179. Jump back up. All right. But anyway, I think we hit 182. So that's good. All right, everyone. Let's meet back here tomorrow. Same time, I hope.
Same bad show. Same time, right? Probably not. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.